All right, another experiment. Today, we're going to take the S9 Plus, which has been recently released and we're all really interested in, and compare it, well, its camera, to the top camera phones out right now, including the Pixel 2 XL, which everybody keeps asking about, the iPhone X, which everybody keeps asking about, and then also the Note 8 in there just for kind of a control. Now, to do this, I spent a lot of time running around New York City, trying to take photos with all of these phones in the exact same positions, the exact same conditions. It took me a while, to say the least. But the best photos that I had and were good comparisons, I put them all together, put them side by side, and that's what we're gonna go through right now. Okay, so first up, our standard latte in a coffee shop photo. Looking at these, I mean, this is going to be a recurring theme, and if you didn't see my old video, which you should check out, the links below, on the best camera phone of 2017, the Pixel 2 XL does a great job of kind of darkening the blacks and brightening the whites, just giving it a little bit more range, and that's because of the HDR that it has. It takes a bunch of photos, it mixes them together, and it automatically adjusts where the brightness should be and where the darkness should be and just all that fun stuff, to put it very simply. So it does have the darker color of the mug, and the whites are just a little brighter. But the other ones, for the most part, I mean, they're all pretty similar. I would say the Note 8 and the iPhone X are kind of on par. They're, yeah, I would say they're basically on par. There's a little more detail in the stool in the back on the iPhone X, but not by much. The S9 Plus, though, what it did here was it kind of blew out the whites a little bit. So the foam on top is just a lot brighter than it should be, and that's might have something to do with the aperture. Maybe it opened it up a little bit wider than it needed to, but that's basically all there is really to notice in these photos. You could probably adjust all of these and make them look really good. But for this test, again, we care about auto mode, just taking the snap and sending it. Okay, next up, looking at this, I'm gonna say, well, it's actually pretty apparent immediately that the Note 8 and the S9 Plus are of the same family. Like, the same background is kind of blown a little bit in the same exact way. There's even like a little kind of a flare happening, like above that pipe and under the stairs in the top back right. So you can definitely tell that these are both from the same company that makes the same software. I would say that in the S9 Plus photo though, if you look at that chair in the back, the chair has a little more detail, and then also that table next to it has more detail compared to the Note 8. So there's a slight advantage there, but otherwise they're very similar photos. The Pixel 2 XL, of course, did its thing. I mean, a good case in point here, look out the back window and you can see how it's automatically adjusted that so that it's much darker so that you can actually see out the window, whereas all of the other phones, for the most part, blew it out. The iPhone X actually did a good job of not blowing it out as much as the S9 and the Note 8. And also you can see on her face, because it adjusted all of the shadows down, there's a little more detail in her face. She's not as soft, whereas in all three of the other ones, she's much softer. Speaking of that aperture, here we can see it in very good detail here. We have the S9 Plus photo on the bottom left. We have the cornflakes, the Special K, even the Rice Krispies box are all super bright. And these were all taken in the same lighting, etc. So this is actually a scenario where I think that S9 beat all of them. Of course, you could brighten the other ones, right? But we're just, what does it do on its own is what I want to know. So the other ones all kind of did something similar. The iPhone X has a little more detail than, say, the Note 8. And the Pixel 2 XL has probably a little more detail than, it's on par with the iPhone X, I would say. The Tony the Tiger in the back there looks a little bit better in the Pixel 2 XL than he does in the iPhone X. So does the Apple Jacks. There's just more detail. Again, it's darkening those shadows and bringing up the lights, and that's kind of what it does. But yeah, I would say in this scenario, especially the S9's aperture definitely helped with this being a much brighter, much nicer photo. And here we have the Flatiron Building, apparently one of the most photographed buildings in the world, I was told. This one, I would say like the iPhone X, it likes to make things, white balances the crap out of them. So this is actually a little blue for my taste, but detail's fine. It's what you expect from the iPhone. I would actually say though the S9 Plus kind of beats it in this one. There's a lot more detail in the building. If you look at the windows compared to the iPhone X, it's just sharper. Same thing if you look actually in the background, there's a building on the right underneath that like golden spire one. That building underneath there, also more detail in those windows as well. So I would say it probably did a better job than the iPhone in this one. The Note 8, very similar to the S9 Plus, but I think it darkened the windows a little too much, and there's actually less detail in those windows because of that. The Pixel 2 XL did its thing. We have decent detail, although it leaned a little more towards the Note 8. Like, it made things pretty dark in those windows, but a little less dark than the Note 8, so I would say there's a little more detail in there. Again, though, this would be tough for me. I don't know if I would choose the Pixel 2 XL here or the S9 Plus. The Pixel 2 XL, because it made things like darker things darker, it looks a little more crisp and I think a little more appealing to the eye, whereas the S9 Plus is actually probably a little more true to life. All right, in this one, we have a building. That building happens to be Rockefeller Center. We have the iPhone 10 actually kind of blew it out a little bit compared to the other ones. And when I say blew it out, it didn't blow it out that much. Like, we didn't lose a lot of data, but a little bit. Like, if you look at parts of that where the light is, it's really bright. Again, that Pixel 2 XL, we can always look at for what HDR does to things, and you can see how it's a totally different color compared to the other ones. It took out all of the extra light to make it match the foreground. The S9 Plus and the Note 8, I couldn't tell the difference between these two photos. If you put them side by side, I don't think you'd be able to. If I'm really nitpicking, I can look real close at some of like the whites in the windows on the left. They're a hair brighter in the S9 Plus, but not really. Like, basically that took the same photo. Okay, and here is another night shot where the S9 Plus is supposed to excel, and I would say that it does actually in this. If you look at it compared to the Note 8, the statues, all of them are much brighter. There's a little more detail in them, I would say. In the background as well, that building in the back, the yellow building, if you look at the 3 windows directly to the left of the statues, the statue on the left's head, those are definitely sharper than they are on the Note 8. Pix 2 XL, we can't do this anymore. It's just, the HDR is just good. The iPhone 10, on the other hand, it definitely like subdued the colors like it likes to do, so you'll see the building in the background is not yellow, really, it's beige. Also though, something that's interesting to note, the S9 Plus, the Note 8, and the Pixel 2 XL all made the duplex sign, those lights in the background, actually readable, whereas the iPhone 10 did not. And there we go for some photos of things that don't move. I bring that up because the S9 Plus has a bit of an issue for me, at least in my experience with using it so far, and maybe there'll be an update, but it has a bit of an issue with taking photos of anything that kind of moves, right? So when I was in a bar trying to take photos of my friends, every single photo came out super soft and super blurry. It did a fantastic job of making everything bright, which is great, and actually it's fantastic at that. I would say it's one of the better phones out there for like taking photos in the dark or in low light. And you can see my Twitter, I posted a photo of something that was taken at like basically 1 a.m. midnight, and it looks like it's daylight, right? Really cool. I'll leave a link to that if you're curious about it. But people, it has a problem. So let me show you what I mean. So here's just one quick example, and it's not as pronounced in this as I've seen it, but I think it'll illustrate what I'm saying. So the S9 Plus, if you look at that, you'll notice that basically everything or everyone in this photo is soft, right? There's not a single person that's really in focus or not just like super soft, has a little bit of motion blur to them. They kind of all do. And it's not like these people are jumping around, they're having a conversation. You know, it's a very normal scenario that you would want to try to take a photo. The iPhone 10, on the other hand, he's got a little bit of motion blur, but again, this is all, they have a lot less. Like the guy sitting at the table in the back, he's a little bit more in focus. The girl sitting behind him are. The girl who you can kind of just see her face to the left of the guy who's in the foreground, she's a little bit in focus. Now, moving over to the Pixel 2 XL, much better, right? Like, he's totally in focus for as much as you can in this low light scenario. She has a tiny bit of motion blur, but again, it's not as bad. Note 8 even did a better job, I would say. Although only really on that guy, right? The guy in the foreground, everything else is kind of blurred. So I don't know if this is just like a Samsung thing and the S9 is just having a bit harder of a time with it because of the aperture. Like it's letting in a lot more light, the shutter speed is probably off, and so it's having a hard time with blur. And let me just say that they all, have some motion blur, or some things are not in focus when you're taking photos in dark situations of people, things that are moving. I've just noticed that the S9 Plus has a bit more of an issue with it. Now, could they update this and fix it? Absolutely. It's definitely a settings issue. It's not a hardware issue at all. So, I even managed to kind of get around it and fix it a little bit if you switch over to sport mode. Now, you won't get as bright of shots though, because it limits the aperture, I think, during this sport mode, but people are less likely to be as blurred. So that was nice. Also, of course, if you turn it into pro mode and adjust the settings yourself, then you can totally get around this and get a really nice bright shots without motion blur. But I don't know how many people are gonna do that at a bar. Or like, when you're with your friends and you're trying to take a photo, you're not gonna be like, hold on, let me adjust the ISO. Let me adjust the aperture. Like, you're just not gonna do that. But yeah, that's it. This was my camera comparison of the S9 Plus and some of the top models. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of the video of the test itself. If there's a better way for me to do this down the road, or there's some improvements you'd like to see, be constructive about it, please. But I would love to hear from you guys. Always do. And if you like this video, please thumbs up it or share it. It's greatly appreciated. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And even if you are, click the bell next to the word subscribe so you can be notified whenever I do new videos if you'd like to be. Also, don't forget, follow me on social. On Instagram, at The Unlocker, on Twitter, at The Unlocker. I'm going to post a lot more photos from the S9 Plus and other phones, as I do. But it does take some incredible photos, if we're honest. And I have some already up, but I'll try to take more so you guys can check that out if you'd like. And as always, regardless, thanks for watching.